Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could teach the gullible to never be so comfortable with lies they eat like comfort food, to disregard the bogus claims and pseudoscientific claims? Can you imagine just how much indeed the world would change? No more political predators playing on the populace with ilkas and plots to shift and kill metropolis. No more villains with the title in the Bible holding phony temper Bibles like the stuff they teach is vital. Imagine it was normal to have to prove a claim you make, and folks really feel ashamed to express some content that was fake. It's not to say we never make mistakes, it's just to say we go out of our way to show the evidence it takes.
Remain skeptical while you travel the road, the reason stay strapped with logic and fast. That's what it is, yo. Keep reality intact to help the truth grow. Question every claim, especially the ones you believe in. Remain skeptical while you travel the road, the reason.
This is Paul Sheehan, and I want to welcome you to another exciting episode of Road to Reason, a Skeptic's Guide to the 21st Century. Today we have returning host Tiffany Harding.
Hello.
Hello. And we have a new host that's going to be joining our crew, Allison Dunleavy. And today's episode, if you checked our Facebook page, which you should be doing, is about women in atheism. Yes, I know. I'm a guy, and I'm sitting here on a Women in Atheism episode, but you know they're new, so I'm going to get them started out on the right foot. But
yes.
Being that this is a woman's episode on atheism, I'm going to let them start the news, see how they do. Do you want to start off, Tiffany?
Sure. I'll try.
Okay.
It's okay. I know. So we're first going to start off talking about a story that came out of Florida, I believe it is, where an atheist was kicked out of a town council meeting. It's kind of like what we talked about last week, because he didn't stand for the prayer and the pledge of allegiance. And the mayor gave him an ultimatum, either stand up or get out. And rather than cause a scene, he left. Mm-hmm. I think it's ridiculous that these things still happen. His First Amendment rights say that he doesn't have to stand up.
Well, I think that these states down south in the Bible Belt don't realize that we have a U.S. Constitution or that we have a Supreme Court which sets precedent on these things. I mean, even students in school cannot be forced or coerced to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance or to put their hand on their heart or to announce it or anything. You cannot be coerced into that. So to have this guy removed from the courthouse is illegal, and they've just opened a can of worms, because from what I've read now, there's plans, a whole bunch of atheists are planning to go to the next meeting and sit and refuse to move. So now what are they going to do?
It's the First Amendment only works when it's bolstering your own ideals.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. That's how it works.
That's right.
I mean, that's what it's for.
And Allison, you had a news bit you wanted to cover. There was another thing we were going to talk about with, not Allison, but with someone passing away.
Oh, yeah.
Tiffany.
Dr. Sanger.
Uh-huh.
He was a particle physicist, and he was 79 years old. He was a prominent atheist. They say he was the first, and he sort of gave birth to the Four Horsemen. Everyone's familiar, or they should be familiar with the Four Horsemen of atheism. And he made physics, particle physics, that sort of science palpable for the layman. He was one of the first to try to open up science to everyone, and not just people with like a Fields Medal. And he'll be missed. And I'm just saying, thank you for your contribution, doctor. And we'll miss you. We need more like you. And I feel like in the future, when more and more kids start studying science when they go to school, then we'll have plenty more like him, hopefully. Then we can go to Mars.
And go to Mars, yes.
Yeah.
That's the evil atheist goal, is to make it to Mars.
You're exposing the agenda.
So we can spread our message all
Spread our
over
messages.
Martians.
Yeah,
well, you heard about, I'm sorry to cut in, you heard about why Mr. Creation, Ken Ham, wants to stop the space program, because he says if we meet the aliens, then we can't save them. So what's the point of meeting the aliens? No, seriously, he said that. Go Google it. He said we should stop.
Don't the Mormons all get a bunch of planets anyway when they die? So they're going to live with the aliens on their planets.
That's true. We should stop space because the aliens can't be saved.
Never mind the fact that the aliens weren't conceived of in the Garden of Eden by God. So I don't know why you would need to say they're not a part of our species.
That's true.
Jesus died for their sins too. Why you got to discriminate against aliens?
Do we need to start saving dogs and cats?
No,
You know
they
that
don't
I'm
have a
sure they
soul.
do. I'm sure they do have, because they have dog and cat weddings. I'm sure they will do that soon.
Can you imagine like
That's-
them like tying like a dog or a cat, you know, and trying to exorcise the evil spirits out of it? I mean, it's just.
But they don't have souls, I don't think, according to the Bible.
Then
It's
what
only
makes them think that
humans.
aliens have souls? I don't know.
It's
Are
once
you
start-
saying that the
yeah.
Bible doesn't make sense, and that you're trying to apply reason and logic to the Bible?
All right, shame on me.
You need to turn it over to the women.
Hey, speaking of sense and logic and things that make sense, there's this thing floating around the internet. I think it happened a while back.
Yeah.
It's of a rabbi, and it's not the only picture of a rabbi who has put himself in a plastic bag to fly on an airplane. And we're going to have our director in there pull up this image. And I want the folks at home to do your best not to laugh. That is real.
It's from April 2013.
And it's not a corpse.
Yes,
No.
that is not a corpse.
That's
that is
a
a
live
live
person.
human being who is in a bag.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if there's ever a picture that has summed up what is wrong with religion,
Yeah.
it is that.
Yeah, that's you can't even bring shampoo on a plane. But you can put them in a bag.
Put them in a bag. You know, it's like that's the level of insanity that people will go to for their religion. And
But why is he in the bag?
Yeah, do you
Did
know
say?
why?
he's in the bag because he could conceivably fly over a non-Jewish cemetery, and he needs a barrier between himself and the cemetery. As if the plane is not enough of a barrier. He's got to be in a plastic bag.
And 30,000 feet.
At 30,000 feet.
Above the Earth's surface.
So
It may be kosher plastic that's been blessed.
that is a distinct possibility.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking, you know, I want secular bags. Because I've sat next to some horribly smelling people on those planes. I would love to seal myself up in a bag for secular purposes, but they won't let me do it. I would be considered insane. I'd go to the funny farm.
Yeah.
But if you believe that you're going to, you know, literally go to hell for flying over a cemetery, I guess maybe you do need to seal yourself up in a bag.
Do you think it has breathing holes in there, or could that guy asphyxiate
That
on
would
like
be
a cross-country
cheating.
flight?
That would
be
be
cheating.
cheating.
All right.
But I mean, the point is, if you can say I'm doing this weird thing because of religion,
It's
fine.
okay.
Everyone gets a pass. Everyone
It's
gets a
okay.
pass. And
Yeah.
yes, it is weird. And I'm not trying to disrespect Judaism or
I am when it's that.
Yeah,
when it's that
I'm sorry,
weird.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, when it's that
weird.
ridiculous, you
It
know what? That's fine. Yeah, I completely get what's wrong with that. And you know what's amazing though, and if you're going to sit there and you're going to say, "Oh, these atheists are picking on religious people. That's bigotry." Okay, well let's take this serious. Okay, that's funny, but that type of thinking can lead to some things that are horribly not funny.
Absolutely.
And we're going to show a clip here in a second of a young man. This is actually just going around. He's already got 4 million plus views on his YouTube video, where his parents reject the fact that he's gay. And their whole answer for this is the Bible says it's wrong.
Yeah.
And he talks about biology, he talks about science, he talks about rational, scientifically validated understandings of why people are gay. Doesn't matter. Our book says that it's a sin and you
Yeah.
can't live under a roof. And they physically attack him.
Physically.
And this is where plastic bags stop being funny.
Yeah.
Because it's the exact same type of thinking that gets
Absolutely.
people there. And I think we're going to go ahead and just cut to that when our director is ready.
Yeah.
That you would know at this point it's not a choice.
And you have made a choice,
I have not made a
evidently
choice.
from what you told your daddy.
I have not made a choice. I have not made a choice. I have been from the moment I come out of my mother's uterus, I have been that way. Probably long before I come out of her
No.
uterus. Yes. Mm-hmm.
No, you can deny it all you want to, but I believe in the Word of God, and God creates nobody that way. It's a path that you have chosen to choose. All right, you believe it the way you want to believe it, because I cannot change that.
This is the way I'll put that part. I have taken basic biology and psychology,
Uh-huh.
and it's determined within the first 6 weeks of birth what your personality is going to be, and that's part of your personality, and you cannot change it, and it's a scientific proof, not based off of
You
a
go
book.
by all the scientific stuff you want to. I'm going by the Word of God.
Well, scientific proof trumps the Word of God.
No, it doesn't, in my opinion.
Well, in my opinion, it does, because there's scientific proof. That's
Well,
why it's
all right,
called scientific proof.
Okay, I'm not going to argue that point with you, but I'm going to tell you. Since you have chosen that path, we will not support you any longer. You will need to move out and find wherever you can to live and do what you want to, because I will not let people believe that I condone what you do.
Okay, well,
this neighborhood-
I will be out by Thursday night at midnight. How about that?
All right.
I'll be completely out, and you'll never, ever have to see me again.
If that's the way you choose it, that's fine.
No, that's not what I'm choosing. I'm doing what you're telling me to do, and you're disowning me. So that proves how much of a person you are.
Okay.
In fact, can I live in your basement since it's your house and you're my mother? Really? So all of that support that you told me about?
Oh, I support you. I don't support what you do.
And we don't
'cause I
support your
believe in
habit.
what you do.
No.
And I have a lot of friends that are gay, but they're friends.
See?
They're not related to me.
That's not what you told me that day on the couch. That doesn't seem very motherly to me.
And disowning your dad and telling him that he's a racist and that your dad didn't raise you, your dad's gone to bat for you for the last 20 years of your life. That man's put a roof over your head. He's put food on your table.
That's
He's
that's not
No.
raising.
You
Wait,
say
wait a minute.
none of these people have raised you. You're full of shit. And you told me on the phone that you made that choice. You know you wasn't born that way. You know damn good and well you made that choice. You know that this man has done everything he can to raise you, and you told me right on that damn phone that that was a choice you made. He didn't need to blame himself. So don't fill these people full of bullshit, Daniel.
You're twisting my words. You are
You
a complete.
twist everybody.
You are a completely different person.
Let me tell you something, you little piece of shit.
No, you're not gonna fucking hit me. No,
You son of a...
off me, bitch! Get off me!
Let me tell you something.
She's going out!
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Oh,
Stop it!
get off of me! What's wrong with you?
You're a
Bring
damn
it!
queer, you
What's
fucking
wrong
dick.
with you?
You don't tell lies on me, you little piece of shit!
I didn't. I trusted you.
You've never trusted me! You
You
should
did.
have more shit than me than anybody!
Come here.
I'll beat your
I
fuck.
claim you as my own mother.
That's all.
That's pretty intense. I apologize. I think I missed an F word there. I'm supposed to edit
Sorry.
that out, but as you could tell, there's a lot of profanity. Ladies, I guess I'll start with Allison. You're a mom, so what's your perspective on this?
I mean, I have 3 young sons, and I have to tell you, if one of them came to me and said, I'm gay, you know what I would say to them? Okay, you know, all right. I don't think there's any choice involved in being gay. I think that you're born that way, and the only choice involved is whether you are brave and take the risks of coming out and living authentically and facing the backlash that so much of society will give you, or to stay in the closet. And I think that's a terrible choice to have to make. And people should be able to live authentically if they're gay, straight, transgender, you know, whatever. I don't even care. I don't see why we need labels.
Right.
As a mother, I want my children to be happy and healthy, and whom they choose to love is of no concern to me,
So
as
as-
long as they're happy.
So
I
as a
don't
mom-
care.
So as a mom, could you even begin to understand why these people would do something like that to their own son? As a mother.
Can't I mean, it's religion. It's brainwashing. It's this word of God that comes before the family, comes before, you know, even in weddings. God is first, Christ is first, then the women are down below somewhere. And God is the center of the family, and I think it's just tragic. I mean, in the Bible, you've got people killing their children if they're disobedient, so this is really not unchristian or, you know, this fits with biblical guidelines to murder your children, you know, if they're disobedient, if they disappoint you and such. So I think it's tragic.
Right.
That
It
boy can
works.
come live with me.
Yeah. It works. So he sounds like fun. It really does.
I know,
But no,
it's awful.
this whole situation kind of reminds me of honor killings. We were talking about it earlier about like how can you look at this child? You know, you raised that baby for 20 years, and you saw him grow up. You saw him fall and scrape his knee. You saw him, love. You saw him live, and then, oh, there's something about him I don't like. Okay, then you're out of my life. Or like when someone in Pakistan decides to stone to death their daughter because she's dating someone who's from a different sect of their religion. It's how can you look at that little baby that you raised? And I'm not a mom, but I wouldn't do that to my worst enemy.
No.
Someone that you raised and watched grow and then just dismiss them or kill them.
Well, and you heard the woman in the video say, well, if that's a choice, if you're going to move out, that's your choice.
No,
and I think in the South, it's funny how words get more syllables with the accent. I'm like, your choice.
And I was resisting making fun of that accent.
I'm sorry, but
I
it's funny.
It is. And she said...
She's happy to see him go out of her life forever. She's saying that's your choice. If you want to love someone with the same genitalia as you, then I don't love you enough to take care of you.
The one thing she said, and I wrote it down, she said, I will not let people condone what you do. And that means they're not thinking about him and his happiness. They're thinking about, I won't let people condone what you do. I'm not going to let people think that I'm less Christian than they are.
Yeah, and I find that's interesting because...
that's what I see.
I thought you were supposed to try to convert people to your ideology. And quite frankly, if you're a parent, you already know kids rebel. So how in the hell do they expect this to result in anything positive?
Yeah.
You just have to give the people that you love, not worry about how people view them. You need to love them for who they are. And there's a part I cut out towards the end where the dad really starts laying into the son. And there is more to that video, and I encourage people to watch it. And he starts going, you put stuff on Facebook about me, and you making me look bad on Facebook. And I'm like, again, what's important here? Protecting your child, putting your child first, caring about your child, or worrying about your reputation on Facebook.
That sounds a bit shallow.
That's very shallow.
Sounds a bit shallow, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, as a son, I can only imagine that if my mother said something like that to me, how absolutely devastating that would be. And it's like these people are more interested, as you had pointed out, in the perception of how other people see them. I'm not aware of anywhere in the Bible where it says that you can't know a sinner.
Right.
In fact, as I said, you're supposed to convert them. You're supposed to, missionary work. You're supposed to, teach the word of the Lord. You're not supposed to shun people who don't follow it.
Right.
And yet they're shunning their own blood. But anyway, I digress. So.
But we atheists are the ones without morals.
Oh, we're angry.
We're
bitter,
angry, and we have there's no meaning to life, and we don't love anybody because life
we
is
started a
pointless.
war on Christmas. I can't wait for Kirk Cameron's new movie to come out, by the way.
Oh, yay.
Christmas is under attack.
Well, there's no war on Christmas. My God.
Well, what I want to do here in a moment, we're going to bring back an oldie but goodie.
Yay.
The Bible says WTF. And then we're going to go to a break.
Excuse me, Paul. Yes. Break.
No, we're going to do WTF.
Okay, WTF.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah. So.
Let the women talk. It's the
We can have another couple minutes.
Oh, okay. Oh. Can I just say, I want that graphic tattooed on the inside of my eyes.
Thank
Put it
you.
on your forehead.
That was all my doing. Thank you.
Very nice.
But we have quotes from the Bible, and that's what this whole segment is about. We're going to be bringing back this, on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. Quotes you don't hear in church.
Quotes you don't hear in church, and I'll bet you if they could get rid of it out of the Bible, they would. And we're going to start off with our first quotes out of the Bible, and I'm going to tell you why we picked these, because we're going to do an episode, Cooking Babies with Atheist, on Road to Reason. Wow. Yes, I know it sounds shocking. And we were going around and around as to how to do this, and it had dawned on me that Bible is effectively a cookbook for human flesh. And there are real statements in there. We're going to cover some of those. Now, the first we need to understand what you're not supposed to eat before what you are supposed to eat. And if we start with Leviticus 19:19, it says, "You shall not breed together two types of your cattle." So all you people eating cows today, I can tell you those are hybrids. The Bible was very anti-GMO, so you're in sin when you're eating modern meat.
And it's Labor Day weekend. People are grilling, barbecuing,
oh my God.
probably corn and hamburgers.
Grilling all that sin.
The
Straight
whole
to hell.
nation is
I think you're
in
going to
peril.
hell if you're eating a burger today.
But we have a solution for you. Well, our solution is which is 2 Kings 6:29.
This is a good one.
"So we boiled my son, and we did eat him. And I said unto her the next day, Give thy son, that we may eat of him. And she hath hidden her son." So the stingy old woman wouldn't cough up no meat.
Right.
So-
It was apparently there was a famine in Samaria during that, and they wanted to make sure if there's no meat available, there's always baby.
There's
Maybe
always
that's
baby.
why they're against abortion. I mean, these are baby burgers that
Yes.
we're not allowing to be born.
Meat factories.
I mean, really.
Women's vaginas are meat factories.
That's I'm surprised that's not in the Bible.
Yeah, well,
It might be.
in some
or
ways,
any-
in some abstract ways, it is.
Actually, you're right.
Yeah.
My mind just went.
We are chattel.
I know what you're
Yeah.
thinking. We've taken this completely out of context. We're twisting it all around, which is why we go over to Deuteronomy 28:53. "Then because of the dire straits to which you will be reduced, when your enemy besieges you, you will eat your own children, the flesh of your sons and daughters, whom the Lord has given you." Yes, the Lord gave you your children so you could eat them. Communion before it was popular, ladies and gentlemen.
And if anyone thinks that we're twisting that or trying to make it sound, no, that's in there. It's go to a hotel, get the Bible out of the drawer, and then read it. It's there.
Don't touch that Bible, though.
No, there's
a
no
lot of
way to
germs.
take
You don't
that
know
out
where
of
that thing's
context.
been.
Yeah, you don't.
But
you don't know about
there's
that.
no way to take that out of context. I mean,
No way to
really.
take it out of context.
No way to take that out of
And
context.
in fact, those are not the only passages referring to cannibalism and why it's good and okay. But then we get over to, after we've eaten, okay, now we got to really just want to kick back. And what do we all want to do after we've been gorging on a big holiday feast? We want to have sex. And that's why we have we go back to Genesis. "Look, I have 2 daughters, virgins, both of them. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do with them what you like, but do nothing to these men, because they've come under my shelter of my roof." Wow! I mean, that's like, you get to eat, and then, you get to go out as a crowd and, threaten people, rape people, and...
Well, they're just women.
And I
I mean, we're not
believe-
talking about men getting raped. It's just women.
Yeah.
We are chattel property. And I mean, really,
Yeah.
if you have a guest in your home or you can get your daughters raped, what are you going to choose?
Exactly.
If your guests are male, I mean, really, you'd be a bad host not to let your daughters get raped to
And then
protect them.
I do believe that's the story of Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah.
It is.
So after you have some lovely salt, when your wife turns around to see all her friends and family being burned to death. So there you go.
So loving and good.
Well, you got to go pour salt in that one, I tell you. Well,
You just dissed Lot's wife.
okay, so now essentially, we've eaten, we've had our sex, and now we're bored, and let's hit a road trip.
Yeah.
In biblical times, if your travel plans might have to very well include mass murder. According to Deuteronomy 13, 12, 15, if you find that the people in the city you're visiting worship another god, you have to kill them all. So that's pretty serious, man. So we've had a big meal, we've had sex, and now we're out for some bloodletting. It just doesn't end though. It gets better and better. But you want to make sure that you do this stuff in style and fashion.
absolutely.
And we even have fashion statements out of the Bible. All right? And this one comes from Leviticus. "Uncover not your heads, neither rend your clothes, lest ye die." And least wrath upon all the people. So, if you're not wearing the right type of clothes when you're eating those babies and turning women out to be raped and slaughtering entire villages, you've had it.
Yeah, and Bible literalists cannot say that we're making fun of it because it's right there. I know I've just said that. I know I've already said that, but I just want to reiterate it. I know it sounds insane. It does, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
But there it is.
And you know what?
Bastion of morality that we're all supposed to follow. And we atheists are immoral because we don't eat babies and kill our neighbors.
No, we eat babies, but...
You're just going to give it all away. Stop telling them. God.
But this leads us pretty much to today's topic, which is if you expect women to stand up and speak out against these kinds of things, we also have answers sewn in that.
Yeah.
Excuse me, in the Bible, sewn in the Bible to answer that, which is Corinthians 14:34-35. Let your women keep their silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak. But they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. And with that, I guess I'm supposed to shut up.
We're dumbfounded.
I was
here.
being silent.
Are we allowed to speak? Is that okay?
Paul, I'm done.
Please.
I'm done.
Yay!
I'm done.
I
I'm
give
done.
you the honor of speaking on this atheist show.
I'm done. I say let's take a break and we come back and we'll talk more about this. And we have a lot of things to say to our man friend here.
I got some things to say to you too, Missy.
We'll be right back.
Doing commercials is unfamiliar territory for me, but I'm inviting you to watch Road to Reason, A Skeptic's Guide to the 21st Century, on Fairfax Public Access every Sunday. Each week the hosts tackle wishful thinking, religion, pseudoscience, and the harm they cause, with a combination of facts, humor, and community involvement. They challenge believers to defend their faith and give you, the skeptic, a voice. With live call-ins for viewers and streaming on the World Wide Web, there's never a dull moment. Don't wait. Look at them now on Facebook and YouTube, and remember to watch Road to Reason, A Skeptic's Guide to the 21st Century, or there'll be hell to pay.
There's an alarming trend in the world today. Everywhere you go, people are saying that cinema is dead. But cinema is not dead. My name is Count Simon Gauntley, and on my television program, Count Gauntley's Horrors from the Public Domain, I make it my mission to resurrect forgotten film classics. I promise to dredge the sewers and ford the stagnant streams of film history to ensure that no film is truly lost to the ages. Count Gauntley and FPA, keeping cinema alive! Alive! Alive!
Well, even though Joseph's been gone 18 months, we've made the decision to keep all his things as they were when he was here last. I finally just packed his toothbrush away like 6 months ago. It had been sitting on the counter in the bathroom. And I was cleaning the bathroom one day and I just thought, okay, it's time to put the toothbrush in the medicine cabinet.
All right. So this is the women's perspective part of our segment, so I'm going to do what all men do. I'm going to sit over and scratch my butt and pick my ears.
Oh, my God, Paul.
And let them run with it. No, seriously, I'll interject a few questions here or there, but I guess maybe what I ought to do is start off and talk about what you all think is important with feminism and atheism in our movement.
Well, I think feminism is a hard label because there's different kinds of feminism. The traditional types are gender feminism and equality feminism. Equality deals more with legal and pay rates and stuff like that being equal, where gender is more critical of gender roles. So when you've got two people saying, I'm a feminist, you're not a feminist, I'm a feminist, they can both be feminists but at different ends of the spectrum. So I think it's kind of like when anyone says, I'm a Christian. That can mean a whole lot of things. That can mean I'm very tolerant and progressive and pro-gay rights, or it can mean I'm like a Bible-thumping teabagger. Like, there's no way to know when someone gives you their label what it is.
Yeah.
And that's the same way with feminism, I feel like. And you see, in the atheist community, I see a lot of arguments going around, and I'm sure it's that way generally too, where you've got feminists arguing with each other about who's a better feminist and who's not, because they're approaching it from different angles.
Yeah, and that's when the whole message sort of becomes irrelevant, because the screeching factory has gotten more attention.
Yeah.
And it makes things a little, like we were saying earlier, it's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. So usually, whoever is the noisiest or the most brazen, I don't want to say there's anything wrong being noisy or brazen, but if someone finds just a little bit of distastefulness in that, then they can use it to smear the entire message, not just the community, but the message in and of itself. That's it's a slippery slope, and especially with women.
I think so.
So.
And it's hard because, you know, I'm a feminist. I think women should get equal pay for equal work. But if I laugh at a sandwich joke, like, am I a bad feminist? If someone says, make me a sandwich, and I think it's funny. Or if I like it when a man holds the door open for me and I like chivalry, like, am I a bad feminist then?
No.
You know, so I think a lot of women are afraid to speak up because it seems like some women are just ready to come at you if you say the wrong thing. And it's the same thing with atheism, I think. It's hard to organize a group of people around a non-belief. One of the horsemen had said it's like getting people together who don't collect stamps. Like, hey, let's all get together. None of us collect stamps. That's not really a cohesive thing to hold people together. So you're going to have dissent.
It's like herding cats, because the only thing we have in common as non-believers is our non-belief, because you can be a Democrat, you can be a Republican. That's what's
you can
one
be a
thing.
libertarian.
That's the one thing I love about our community. Seriously, that we have them.
They're looking at me.
That we have
We're very inclusive, and this is the thing, and this is kind of a tangential point, but atheists often get accused of being elitist. On the one hand, we're immoral and you have no values, but then on the other hand, we're elitist and exclusive and all this. And I do think it's a problem that a lot of people, again, are afraid to speak up, because I have a friend who's a mechanic, and he feels like he can't be an outspoken atheist because he can't, you know, talk about evolutionary biology at a micro level. And
you shouldn't see. You don't need to be Richard Dawkins to speak out, you know, against what you don't believe. Because I don't like saying what atheists believe, because we believe a lot of things.
That's not one of them.
That's not one of them. And so that's the point. Your mechanic friend.
I mean, you can look at a Batman comic, and you don't need to read all the Batman comic series, no offense to Batman, but you can look at the comic and know that that's not real without having known the history of Batman.
I, as Superman, will not hold that against you, so thank you.
Well, Superman's real. That's different.
That's true.
Batman's the one that's not real.
It's real.
Well, I wanted to ask you too, do you think that women are underrepresented in the atheist community?
Oh, absolutely.
And what do you think are some of the factors for that?
Well, go to YouTube, all right, and look at the I don't want to call them celebrities. They're celebrities. Look at the
celebrities in our world.
Right, the celebrities in our world. You've got you know, the Thinking Atheist. You've got Dark Matter 2525. You've got all these shows. They're all men, all right, and you may have a few females on there, but they're not nearly as popular, you know. And it seems like male is always the default. You know, and female is just a variant on the default, and that's why you don't get it. But that'll change one day. I mean, people see our show and they'll say, hey, those two ladies know what they're talking about. Oh, somebody on the phone? Carla?
Yeah, someone's on the phone.
Hi, Carla.
Hi.
How you doing?
Okay, I'm certainly glad. This is the first time I've ever turned the channel, and there you guys were. So can you please make sure you announce the channel number and other information when you're on Sundays? I don't even know. I know nothing about the show except I flicked to it and it was like, oh, thank goodness. Because I'm the person that sits here and makes nasty phone calls where I tell off and cuss out these Bible thumpers. I do, and I don't give a damn. I pay for cable, and I don't want them on my damn TV. Furthermore, this is really appalling to me. All religions and religious affiliated groups, whatever, They are running businesses, and they're not being taxed. I don't care if they're TV evangelists or synagogues, churches, temples, I don't care what. They're all about money. They're a business.
Yeah.
And what really pisses me off, in fact, when I went to court during my divorce, I refused to swear on the Bible.
Yeah.
I did.
They don't have to force you to do that.
You know, and I literally said, I will not swear on the Bible. But this really, this is so funny because, okay, everybody sits here and, I mean, this is just another, appalling thing that government, why do all these officials sit here and, you know, and even Obama and all of them, pretty much sit here in the name of God or, you know, or God, you know, or whatever kind of garbage. It's like we're supposed to have separate. Frank Wolf is a big one, too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and bringing up Jesus, they apply it. Do you notice how they apply it where they want to and not when it's inconvenient, you know?
Yeah.
You can find anything in that. It's a book of total fiction.
Right.
It's a book of total fiction. You can sit there, and I have all of these relatives and family members that run the gamut of Baptist, just total nutcases, you know, that don't belong to anything because they're really, they are that fanatical. I mean, that fanatical, honestly.
Carla, it seems, I mean, nowadays it's almost like a politician can't be a politician without being somewhat religious. It would, because as much as we don't like it, 80-90% of the country
is brainwashed.
Is brainwashed.
And what's interesting to me too is all of these religious groups that came over here, quote, for religious freedom. What did they do? They sat there and turned around and became the oppressors of those that did not believe as they did.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yes, you are. And no,
that goes all the way. You know, they did it to Native Americans. Then you had, you know, Catholics do it to Protestants. Then you had Protestants and everybody do it to Jews. And you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
This is a bunch of crock. And I'm going to tell you something. And this offends a lot of people, and I don't really give a damn. Okay. I just say it like I see it. In fact, I have 3 degrees, including an MBA. I'm not selecting my words. I'm saying them exactly the way I feel them. Okay, that Mother
just try not
Teresa,
to cuss.
I call her. I'll censor this for you because I don't know if they would.
Thank you.
Call her Mother Effer Teresa. Because and I do, and I'll tell you why. That woman had herself exorcised 3 times. What was she, you know what she, and actually I saw an interview with her where she said, you know, we should, no abortion, no birth control, you know, that she absolutely believed that should not be allowed, yet she's running houses of death, you know, and she said, God will feed them. You know, she was asked, how can you reconcile that with the fact that there are all these people, God will feed them. God didn't feed them. In other words, with religions, especially with reproductive rights, this really ticks me off. It just really offends me that and I won't donate to UNICEF or any of these places, because if you call and say, I will donate to help feed a kid, help feed people, if you are providing birth control, abortion, sterilization, whatever you know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you a question, Carla.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of outlet to talk about how you really feel, do you?
I'm sorry?
Well, you know what I was going to say. Carla, are you local?
Yeah, it's from Alexandria.
From Alexandria?
Am I what?
Are you a local person?
I'm a local person.
You are a local person. If you go online, I'll do a quick plug for Nova Atheist. We have a meetup group that with like-minded people. We do a lot of fun stuff. We do lobbying in D.C., sometimes go to the Supreme Court. You are welcome to join our group. Because any viewers who would like to find out more, we have meetups regularly in Northern Virginia and in your area where you can meet like-minded people. And it's great just
because
to vent.
you are mad, and I can understand why you are.
No, okay. Well, please do that. But I will. What do I do? Hold on the phone. But I do want to say one thing.
I'll tell you what I'll do. My name is Paul. I'm the producer of the show. I will put that information on our Facebook page.
I don't have a computer. I refuse to use them.
Okay, so
I refuse that, Paul.
Yeah, so tell your friends about Road
Well,
to
hang
Reason.
on. We're going to get an answer for that in 1 second, but I do want to also. I know you don't use a computer, but you asked how people can see the show. We broadcast live every Sunday from 3 to 4 on channel 36.
3 to 4. Okay, that's not what showed up. It came up some strange 38 point something on, but that's okay.
Yeah, it varies depending on who your cable provider is, but it's standard 36. We also stream live on Ustream, and we have archives on Facebook.
And how long have you been on TV? I have no idea.
Oh, man.
About a year.
About a year.
About a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm glad to see you out there.
Thank you.
But may I just finish with my point here,
Sure,
one
go ahead.
last point here, because I could talk for hours about this crazy nonsense.
I love you.
We love you.
We love you, Carla.
This really ticks me off because when you call these places, it's like, okay, let me tell you what, Mother Teresa really got off on running houses,
Of death.
Of death,
Oh,
exactly.
absolutely.
There are people that get off on this stuff. And,
Suffering. They're called suffering.
And it's really interesting. Just like UNICEF or these other places, you call them, and it's like, I was told that is offensive to ask, in many cultures. And I said, so it's not offensive to plop out a bunch of kids because that you can't see that are born to suffer and die horrible deaths,
And yes.
but it's offensive to sit here and provide birth control, abortion, and so on, sterilization, whatever, so that this cycle is not perpetuated. I grew up in a home. Anyway, that is my point. But anyway, I continue on because you're doing an excellent job, and I'm glad because I'm so damn sick of these places where I do call and tell them off and cuss them out, let them just go to hell.
Hey, nowadays it's not just the evangelicals who are on public access. So thank you for calling, Carla.
You.
You are
Thank you.
awesome.
Carla.
And you're always welcome to tune in at this time for our show.
Absolutely.
I think that's a great point that she made about people being offended. Because people seem to think that they have this right not to be offended. I'm sorry, you don't have the right not to be offended.
Yeah,
a lot of religion is very offensive to me.
Yes.
And if we disagree, then we're the offenders.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry you are not persecuted when you are 75% majority in this country.
Oh my goodness.
I love the fact that a woman called up to talk about the misgivings of another woman. You talk about Mother Teresa, and this is a really important thing because it's interesting. On one hand, the churches support women.
Right.
You can go to them for food banks. You can go for them for daycare. On the other hand, they kind of enslave women.
Yeah.
And, I'd like to see the atheist community do a much better job of empowering women in our communities. I will take just a moment for the viewers who are not that familiar with what she's talking about when she's talking about Mother Teresa running House of Death. She would run hospitals that had no medicines. There were simply beds. And she never tried to get medicine. She wasn't interested in medicine. She openly stated that she was closer to God through the suffering of others. She absolutely went out of her way to see people suffer because she believed through their suffering it brought her and them closer to God.
It's a very Catholic attitude where they believe that the suffering brings you closer to Jesus. And being sick is almost like a blessing because it gives you that suffering, and that suffering makes you feel the pain that Jesus felt when he was crucified. And so they were put in beds in the horrible, filthy, they weren't hospitals, they weren't even convalescent.
House of death.
They were houses of death. People would just go there and wait to die. Yeah. And they were miserable, dirty places. But she took all this money, and Christopher Hitchens has a great book, whose name I can't remember right now.
God is not great. Religion poisons everything.
Michael Parente also came out with a really good book on her. In fact, he, I think, did it before Hitchens did.
There's no
that went after her as well as the Dalai Lama. Everybody thinks of him as this great caring guy. That really gets into the history there. But I don't want to digress too far. I want to take a moment, and I just want to talk about with women we were talking earlier, and I think you brought up a good point about how men dominate the YouTube channels and things of that nature. And I think it's important to talk about how we have straw feminists.
Yeah.
You know, one of the famous ones is this woman, I think her name is Chanty. She has this red hair, and she is at these like reason rallies and things like that, and it's like, you shut the F up, you mother effer, you effing male pig. And I see that these male atheists with the best of intentions, obviously anyone wouldn't like you speaking about them like that, kind of see her as the voice of feminism in the atheist movement, and that's what their videos become all about. And instead of, that's funny, they seem like they do a really good job of taking down the minority of women who act like that at the expense of covering real feminist issues.
Right. Yeah.
What are your
I think
thoughts
it's like
on
the
that?
news. It's like, you know, sensationalism is what gets viewership.
Yeah.
If they were talking about, you know, Tiffany is so reasonable. I mean, who cares? Like that, you know, that's great. Good for you. That's not that interesting. But if they can say, can you believe what this woman said? And they blow it up and make it sensational, then people want to tune in and hear about it.
Yeah. And then that becomes the face of feminism. And, you know, I don't like it. There's this Tumblr out where you have women holding signs that say, I don't need feminism because, and I'm like, and usually when I look at those, I wish I had prepared a couple of pictures.
They're little girls usually.
Yeah, but I wish every single point I see that they make, like, because I'm not a victim, because, well, feminists don't think women are victims.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do because...
But when you have women like Chanty at the forefront,
Yeah.
that's the perspective people go, that's not me, that's not what I support, I'm not a victim. You know, she's sitting there screaming we live in a rape culture and all this other stuff. It's like, you know, we may certainly live in a misogynistic culture, but you have to deal with each man on an individual basis. You can't just sit there and say culture and then attack all men as being equal in that way. But I wanted to take a moment too and talk about how absolutely new feminism and atheism are in our society.
Yeah.
You know, the very first, this is according to Wikipedia, the first known atheist / feminist that's actually both was
one that made it known.
Made known, yes, because
Right.
there are certainly women that could have had these perspectives, but again, that just shows you how much the churches repressed people.
Right.
Was Ernestine Rose. She was born in Poland in January of 1810. She went to England in the late 1820s. She was a founder of the British Atheist Association of all classes, of all nations, which called for human rights for all peoples, regardless of sex, class, color, national origin. This is like really, really new for women to be finding their atheist feminist voice.
Right.
And I just feel like our movement is not really attentive to that need.
Right. No, I agree. It's like the way they, Madeleine Murray O'Hare, I'm sure I remember her, it's like the way they tried to demonize her personality. You know, because that's the easiest thing to get on a woman. Oh, she was ugly, she was mean, blah, blah, blah. You know, but what about the message?
Yeah.
You know, what do you think of that, man?
I don't think I just scratched my butt.
If you're a feminist and an atheist, you're talking about being severely isolated. If you don't have a community of like-minded people, which I think the internet has been great, Meetup especially, for bringing like-minded people together, so you know you have a support network.
Right.
Because a lot of people, like the kid on the video, if you come out as gay, you could be kicked out of your family, out of your community, and you're alone. And being shunned is just like the worst thing for a social human being.
Yeah.
So I think that
we're critters that need.
We need each other.
We need each other.
So I think as more and more women come out being vocal about atheism and feminism, it's easier to gain critical mass when you realize that you're not alone. And I think we just need to be accepting of the fact that there are feminists on, you know, across the whole spectrum. Some are granted little misandrous, man-hating, you know, feminazis, I think they get called. I love men. I have little boys. It's not me.
Right.
But, you know, they have a right to their opinion and their perspective, and it's been formed by their life experiences, and it's a valid viewpoint, even if we don't want to hear it. I think we need to listen to everybody.
And I think as a man, it's absolutely vital that we not categorize all women in the atheist feminist movement by the behavior of the worst possible examples, which is what seems to be happening, because when there is someone like this this woman Chanty who went out and threw these temper tantrums, Thunderfoot, the amazing atheist, all these people, and I'm not knocking these guys. I think some of their videos are good. I know.
I am.
You go ahead and do that. That's fine. But when they basically, I have yet to see them do videos on positive feminism and atheism. I mean, they're always, and it's like, what does it say? When the guy is the critical source of the subject that he is in fact claiming is critical. Yeah. It's like, do you guys think that people would be better off if people like Thunderfoot stood aside on these issues and let women make the videos to counter it?
Well, hey, that's what we're here for, and come at me, bro.
But in defense of men, I love men.
I'm just kidding.
I have little boys. I love them. I don't want to see them punished. There are rapists in the world, but I don't certainly think that most men are rapists or all men are rapists. And I think men should have equal rights in the court systems. I know in divorce a lot of times it seems to kind of default to the mother, and that's not fair. And I do think that men do have kind of a position to say we need equal rights too, and I fully support that. Yeah. And so don't get us all caught up with the label.
Let's not pretend that women can't engage in sexual assault.
Oh, sure.
So if that's the case, then are they a product of the male rape culture too? I mean, rape is a mental health issue.
Because I want to say, like, every time you read a story about a teacher molesting a boy, you get men going, oh, what a lucky kid. Like, no, that's sexual assault. And that's statutory rape. And that's the rape culture that says the more masculine you are means the more sex you have. And they don't even see that violation of that child's autonomy.
Right. They say, where were those teachers when I was in high school?
Yeah. That's part of rape culture. Just because it has nothing to do with a girl, that boy was violated. But because it was a female that did it, they figure, oh, his masculinity just shot up there. No, he's a child, and that is rape culture.
That's a good call out on that. I'll just sit over here and shut my mouth. I don't know nothing. Ooh. Thank you for putting me in my place, miss.
We love you. You're a good guy. You're on the right side.
There's no such thing as good guy.
Oh, there are.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, I mean, like I said, it's not so black and white. And when the conversation leaves rationality and logic and it goes to, what's her name again? I don't even remember her name.
Chanty.
When it goes to people like that, it almost trivializes.
I agree.
The entire conversation.
And I think when you have male atheists jumping on it and doing videos, they're a participant in that trivialization of the serious issue. I am a member of an underrepresented group in this country, and it hurts me to trivialize people because of their skin color or their sex or their sexual orientation by not giving them full integration into the debate. And it's a real problem that I think a lot of men want to speak for women and women's rights, but they're not providing the platform to allow women to do that for themselves. And they have to admit first that they are the ones in control of the platform. As of right now, men have the majority of the podcasts. They have the majority of the followers out there. And if they really care about women and feminists and women and atheism, they're going to have to start developing ways to allow themselves to step aside and allow women to do what they need to do to speak for themselves.
We're 50% of the population.
Yep.
But part of the problem, I think, is monetization of opinions, because you've got these bloggers, these vloggers, whatever, they get money from this traffic. So if they say something outrageous, it's like the Ann Coulter of atheism. You say something outrageous and then everyone's tweeting about it, talking about it. Can you believe that Thunderfoot said this? Everyone's going to go check it out. That's traffic, that's Google AdSense clicks, that's money.
So basically it's rubbernecking is running the conversation?
You're giving money to these people by perpetuating the dialogue. So of course I think they're going to say sensational things because that's more money in the bank.
And of course, it's easier to reject someone who's talking.
Well, and it should be easy for women because we all know they like to talk, and I've heard the horrible things that come out of their mouth.
That's a sexist generalization.
Oh my God!
So
dare you?
You will find me bloodied and bludgeoned in the parking lot after the show if you're trying to find me.
I think you're too old for us to cook and eat, though. That meat's probably a little sinewy.
I just thought you were all going to kick my ass. That's all. So, yeah, and let me tell you, the amount of fat on me, you don't want to, but you do not want to be biting into
We'll make
this.
hardtack out of them and keep them over the winter.
You know what? I wouldn't even eat me after the winter.
Like, salt them.
See,
So,
now,
like they do
now
in
you're going to
Iceland.
make people think that atheists eat babies and grown men.
Well, we don't.
And that we murder each other.
Yep.
Well, you know, I mean, the
the only
religious
reason I
people
do
out
it.
there seem to have no problem trying to make people think that about us.
But you know what's interesting? This is a tangent, but if the prison population in the U.S., the federal prison population, I saw statistics on this recently. If non-believers are like 16% or something of the population, and I think people who say that they are atheist is like closer to 3. It's not that much. But the federal prison population of atheists is like 0.07%.
So it's like 3 guys.
Like 3 guys.
It's like 3 guys.
Right. I mean, and granted, these are people who self-identify. It's not a completely perfect study. But if we're so amoral, you would expect prisons to be filled with atheists who, you know, have no respect for law.
And not people who like kill their
It's
whole
the
families
Christians.
because God told them to.
Well, and I think part of that is that the prisons are institutions where these people can't get away from religion. It's projected on
yes,
them.
That's a whole other thing.
Yeah, there's also consequences if you're seen as not fitting in prison.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
You know, if that's a real issue. But I also think, there is someone makes a mistake in our society. I think there's a difference between someone who says, I'm going to get therapy, I'm going to, learn how to behave better, I'm going to take responsibility for my own actions, and someone who just says, I'll just pray to God and be forgiven and I won't do it again.
Yeah.
And, one of them requires an effort. One of them requires self-accountability. It requires that you learn new skills which are difficult to do. The other is effectively just saying, well, I'm going to give my problems to someone else. I'm going to offer up my sins to God, and I'll just start over. It's like, well, wow, no wonder you reoffend.
Right.
That sounds really easy.
You have Son of Sam, you had Eileen Wuornos, all those people, both of the, I think John Wayne Gacy, they all recanted, I found Jesus, He
was behind the couch.
Yeah.
The thing with Jeffrey Dahmer was when he became born again, he didn't realize he didn't need to be because the Bible's got this whole cannibalism thing covered.
It all comes back around, doesn't it?
So he's in heaven.
Yeah, he's in
By
heaven.
the
Those are all
way,
in
if you're
heaven.
planning to be in heaven, that's who you're going to be hanging out with.
He'd be up there gnawing.
I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
Think about it that way.
And you know who's going to be in hell? It's like Brangelina, Richard Dawkins, Carl Sagan, Mark Zuckerberg,
We'll
Bill
take
Gates.
you to hell because it's
We're
going to
have
be a party
great
down
time.
there. It's going to be a party down there.
It's going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And we're coming up very quickly on our last few seconds, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you. I also want to just commit that we want to have more women's issues on this show. We are definitely trying to expand into these other areas. You need to make sure you check us out on Facebook, spread the word, and also make sure to hook us up with a nice like on Facebook.
Yes, please.
Absolutely. You want to help us out, get the word out there, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.